Hello, Dr. James Bogash, expert in health and longevity, and as a practicing chiropractor, I see people with arthritis pretty much every single day. And there are times when, gosh, maybe there's been some trauma or there's a clear reason why somebody may develop arthritis. But the other thing to understand is that arthritis has a tendency to track in different areas of the body. So if somebody has spinal stenosis or heavy arthritis in the neck, they've probably got it in the low back and vice versa. I have always had the conversation with somebody who has arthritis that we need to look at underlying risk factors. And very commonly, it's a prediabetes cardiovascular issue that tracks hand in hand with osteoarthritis. We started when we knew that cigarette smokers had an increased risk of disc degeneration and kind of progressed from there. So this study just kind of reaffirms what I've seen in my practice, and it followed, the average age was about 40 years of age, almost 10,000 people, and they followed them for 20 years to see how many people, the relationship between arthritis and development of chronic diseases. And they found that having arthritis was linked to upwards of 10 different chronic diseases, and in some scenarios, it pretty drastically, those two were linked, whether or not osteoarthritis caused the chronic diseases or whether the chronic diseases caused the osteoarthritis. Not really answered by this study, but I will tell you that chicken or the egg, it doesn't matter. I think that they feed on one another. So for starters, when somebody has joint pain, a lot of times what they do is stop moving or move less, which is the worst thing you can do. Pretty much any study that has asked the question finds that the more you move with arthritis type pain, the better off you will be, the less likely you need a joint replacement. So that's really clear. But if people with joint pain stop moving, they're going to be at increased risk of things like obesity and diabetes. So that makes sense. But on the front end, picture, I always describe, let's take the intervertebral discs in the spine. I consider them as like a sponge sitting in the middle of a puddle, right? So movement, and if you just put the sponge in the middle of a puddle and stare at it, nothing happens, right? It gets stagnant, it can break down, but if we're stepping and unstepping on the sponge, we get that waste products out, new nutrients in. And that's what movement does. It keeps that sponge being refreshed. Well, the pond that it's sitting in is fed by small blood vessels. And so if we plaque up those small blood vessels, you reduce the nutrients in that pond. And now, even if you're moving, that sponge, the disc, the joint, whatever it is going to break down because it doesn't have the nutrients that it needs. So you can see how lifestyle, you cannot separate out movement from the dietary choices and lifestyle that we have. There are people that think, I can eat like junk because I exercise. That's never been true. It's not true, and absolutely need to get that out of your head because it's not true. Those choices that we make will have an impact on joint health in the long run. Exercise alone is not protective. We need to look at all those other factors, principally related to diabetes and cardiovascular disease. So long as you have diabetes under control and you're exercising, then you're going to have better outcomes for your joints. As always, I'll post a link to this particular study in the description. Make sure you like this video, share it with somebody who thinks needs the information, and subscribe to the channel.